20-year-old Sierah Joughin went missing Tuesday night during a bike ride.
Positive identification will be made through either fingerprints or DNA.
Sierah Joughin was the eldest of 5 siblings, a business student, and a member of the National Honor Society. She met Josh Kolosinski when they were children. They became friends, then something more. By the time they were 13, they were dating. They spent 7 years together. Every milestone, homecoming, graduation, birthdays, they shared. Josh gave her a promise ring. They talked about marriage, but Sierah wanted to wait until after college. Their families became intertwined. Everyone who knew them as a pair. Sierah was spending her summer break at her grandparents' house in Metamora, Ohio, working an internship at her uncle's metal stamping business. On the evening of July 19th, she rode her bicycle to visit Josh. Around 6:45 p.m., she left to ride the 6 miles home. Josh followed her partway on his motorcycle. He took 2 Snapchat videos of her riding ahead of him. Sierah told him she didn't need him to ride alongside her. She insisted she'd be fine on her own. She said she'd text him when she got home. They said goodbye. Josh kissed her and told her he loved her. It was the last time anyone saw her alive. When Sierah didn't text and didn't answer her phone, Josh grew concerned. He contacted her mother. By 7 p.m., her family confirmed she was missing. A motorist reported seeing a bicycle on the side of County Road 6 and a man crouched in a cornfield. Deputies found Sierah's bicycle deep in the corn, half a mile from her home. The scene told a violent story. Motorcycle tire tracks, a box of fuses, men's sunglasses, an orange-handled screwdriver, broken corn stalks, fresh blood on the stalks, a bloody sock. The sunglasses Sierah had been wearing in Josh's videos. A farmer brought police a blood-stained motorcycle helmet he'd found that evening. The blood would later be confirmed as Sierah's.
20-year-old Sierah Joughin went missing Tuesday night during a bike ride.
Police went door to door searching for leads. They knocked on the door of James Dean Worley, 57, who lived less than 2 miles from the abduction site. Worley told investigators he'd been riding his motorcycle that night around 6 p.m. He said it had mechanical problems and stalled out. He said he noticed 2 bicycles lying in a cornfield and considered taking one home, but decided against it. He mentioned losing items that matched the evidence at the scene: a helmet, fuses, a screwdriver, and sunglasses. Then he added something unprompted. He hadn't stolen anything or killed anyone. Worley had a criminal history. In 1990, he'd attacked a woman named Robin Gardner while she was riding her bicycle on a rural road. He struck her with his truck, hit her with a hammer, held a screwdriver to her throat, and tried to handcuff her hands behind her back. Gardner fought back. A passing motorcyclist intervened. She escaped. Worley served 3 years in prison for that attack. After his release, his name never appeared in any offender database. On July 21st, investigators executed a search warrant on Worley's property. Inside his barn, they discovered what they would later describe as a torture chamber. A hidden room with blacked-out windows and spray foam insulation to prevent anyone from seeing in or out. The door had been broken down. Inside was a green crate. When an investigator opened it, Worley became visibly upset and ordered everyone out. The crate contained bondage equipment, ball gags, restraints, leather masks, bags of adult diapers, women's lingerie in clear plastic bags, white tube socks, latex gloves, a sex toy, rope, zip ties, gorilla tape, duct tape. A freezer was buried in the floor of the barn, lined with carpet and stained with blood. Investigators found handcuffs that couldn't be opened with standard law enforcement keys, the same type used on Robin Gardner in 1990. They found Worley's motorcycle with weeds stuck to it. They found women's pink underwear stained with blood. Records showed Worley had spent significant time on July 19th watching pornographic videos of young women being bound and strangled. On July 22nd, Worley was arrested and charged with abduction. Hours later, a volunteer searcher noticed disturbed corn stalks in a field on County Road 7. Something had been dragged about 20 to 25 yards. Investigators smelled decomposing human remains. It took volunteers more than 6 hours to hand dig through the grave. It was 4.5 feet deep and 30 feet wide, one of the deepest graves the lead investigator had ever seen. Sierra's body was there. She'd been handcuffed behind her back. She wore a lace bra, rope, and an adult diaper. A yellow plastic dog toy, cone-shaped, 2 inches wide and 3 inches long, had been forced into her mouth and secured with a shoelace tied at the back of her head. The force had broken her upper left incisor. Hay was stuck in her hair and on the duct tape that bound her ankles. The autopsy determined she died from asphyxiation. The toy deprived her brain of oxygen. It took approximately 10 minutes for her to suffocate. There would have been visible signs of her distress as she struggled to breathe. There was no evidence of sexual assault.
The Fulton County Sheriff says authorities located the body in an area around County Road 7 Friday night.
Positive identification will be made through either fingerprints or DNA, but at this time, we strongly believe that this is Sierra.
Local, state, and federal investigators searched the grounds and ponds in that area, including the nearby home and barn of the suspect, James Worley, who is currently charged with abduction.
Worley was charged with aggravated murder, kidnapping, and felonious assault. Investigators reconstructed what happened. Worley passed Sierra on his motorcycle, then hid in the cornfield ahead. When she rode past, he struck her in the head with his helmet, causing a hairline skull fracture. He dragged her into the corn and handcuffed her. He left her there and drove his motorcycle home. After dark, he returned with his red pickup truck, the inside of which was wet despite no recent rain, and transported her to his barn. He killed her there, then buried her in the cornfield. The similarities to the 1990 attack were precise. Both victims were young women on bicycles. Both attacks occurred on rural roads surrounded by cornfields. Worley's trial began in March 2018. 400 prospective jurors were called. Robin Gardner testified about her 1990 abduction. She described how Worley threatened to kill her, struck her with a hammer, and tried to handcuff her in the same position Sierra's body was found in. She told the jury she felt she had to be Sierra's voice because Sierra couldn't be there. A friend of Worley's testified that they watched bondage pornography together and smoked marijuana. He said Worley showed him lingerie and bondage materials and talked about starting a pornography business in his barn. The defense argued the items in Worley's barn were for this proposed pornography business.
With sexual paraphernalia
They claimed his
disorder.
motorcycle broke
During
down
his
at the crime
sentencing,
scene,
James
explaining
went on a
why his
40-minute
possessions
long
were there.
rant.
Are wounded, and they always will be. But if you believe like I believe that Sierra goes on. She may have been murdered and victimized, but she goes on.
Worley's attorney claimed the adult diapers found in Worley's home belonged to his elderly mother, whom he was caring for. Worley maintained he'd never met Sierra Joughin.
After a year and a half of court hearings, this trial is almost here. January 16th is when it begins. Today was another pretrial hearing.
Right.
The aggravated murder of Sierra Joughin outweighs any and all mitigating factors beyond a reasonable doubt. The court therefore accepts the recommendation of the jury. The court orders that James D. Worley is hereby sentenced to death for the aggravated murder of Sierra Joughin. The court orders that the execution date of James D. Worley be set for June 3rd, 2019 to be carried out by the appropriate authorities. The court typically concludes this case by having a few comments. I have been told by my brethren who handle these cases that is inappropriate here. Suffice it to say, Mr. Worley, I think you would have been well advised to listen to your attorneys before you made your statement. I thought your attorneys did an excellent job in handling your defense. And one further comment, Mr. Worley, if I thought there was a snowball's chance in hell that you were innocent, you'd be looking at life. Court's in recess.
All right.
The prosecution presented DNA evidence linking Worley and Sierra to the abduction site, the barn, and the burial location. Sierra's DNA was found on items in Worley's barn. Both their DNA were found on a latex glove near where she was buried. The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours. On March 27, 2018, they convicted him on 17 counts, including aggravated murder. Before sentencing, Worley gave a 45-minute statement claiming someone else had framed him. Members of the courtroom walked out when he described Sierra as a beautiful girl. On April 16, 2018, Judge Jeffrey Robinson sentenced him to death.
Get in the truck or I'm going to kill you.
The harrowing testimony of Robin Gardner, a woman abducted by James Worley in 1990. Gardner didn't want her face shown, but recounted the details of July 4th, 1990.
Didn't fight, but I struggled to get away and begged to get away.
Members of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office, along with investigators from the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, testified to finding a cornfield Sierra was abducted from, showing the jury blood-stained evidence they collected like Sierra's sock and bike, and images of how Sierra was found in that grave brought a BCI investigator to tears.
She's got straw in her hair. She's got a brassiere, like the latest color brassiere, handcuffs, and a belt pipe.
But while these items, along with a long list of pornographic movies found on Worley's computer, were entered into evidence, the defense painted a different picture of the defendant. Worley's longtime friend testified Worley was interested in starting up a porn studio to generate money.
So he was going to run it as an LLC?
Something, yeah.
Something like that? Right. Run it as a business, not as a hobby.
Yeah.
He also received 11 years for kidnapping, 8 years for felonious assault, 11 months for possessing criminal tools, and 36 months each for tampering with evidence and weapons possession. The Ohio Supreme Court unanimously upheld his conviction and death sentence in July 2021. Justice Michael Donnelly wrote that this was not a crime of impulse. Worley was resolved to murder Sierra to escape detection for kidnapping her.
We, the jury, unanimously agreed the aggravating circumstances committed by the defendant outweigh the mitigating factors beyond a reasonable doubt, and hereby unanimously find the defendant should be sentenced to death. I will now need to poll the jurors.
Worley was not listed in any offender database when he killed Sierra Joughin. Her family believes a violent offender registry could have saved her life.
It's going to not be easy, but I'll get through it. So needless to say, this has been a long 4 weeks. Having to sit through the detailed testimony, piles of evidence, and the learning of what this killer, past violent offender, which is really important to us, past violent offender, did to our beautiful Sierra, was gut-wrenching. Our hope through this painful process was to find justice for Sierra. Justice for her abduction and murder, justice for our family, and justice for the amazing community that so many of us live in. I want to express to you how pleased we are that justice has been served today, and this murderer was found guilty on all counts.
Josh Kolosinski founded Keeping Our Girls Safe in 2016, providing free self-defense classes to women and girls. The organization has trained over 2,500 people. Josh stepped down as president in 2022. He married in 2021 and became a father. In December 2018, Ohio passed Senate Bill 231, known as Sierra's Law. The statute created a searchable database of violent offenders. Law enforcement and residents can now identify convicted violent felons in their communities. Sierra's family established Justice for Sierra, advocating for similar legislation nationwide. The organization developed the Sierra Strong program, providing self-defense curriculum to schools and communities across the country. Sierra was full of life and had a great sense of humor. She enjoyed traveling, especially her trip throughout Italy. She loved both country and city living and had a deep love for horses. She played volleyball throughout high school and also intramural at the University of Toledo. Her family says she was appreciative of every opportunity presented to her and made the most of them. Her favorite color was purple, a detail that was honored during memorial events and in the design of the Justice for Sierra Foundation's materials. The Sierra Joughin Memorial Scholarship Fund was established through the Toledo Community Foundation. Multiple scholarships are now awarded annually to MBA students at the University of Toledo's College of Business and Innovation, with preference given to members of Alpha Kappa Psi, Sierra's business fraternity, and to graduating seniors from Evergreen High School who plan to attend four-year universities. In August 2016, the community held Joughin for Joughin, a memorial 5K race. Organizers expected around 300 participants. More than 1,600 people showed up. The annual Spirit of Sierra Run continues to raise funds for safety education programs. Her family's dream is that Sierra be remembered not for how she died, but for what has come about as a result of her life. Through Sierra's Law and the Justice for Sierra Foundation's work, her legacy continues protecting others from violent offenders. James Dean Worley, now 66, remains on death row at Chillicothe Correctional Institute. His execution, originally scheduled for May 20th, 2025, has been stayed due to ongoing appeals and Ohio's moratorium on executions. No new execution date has been set. Both Worley's first victim and investigators believed there were likely other victims between 1990 and 2016.